The rising trend of women being found gruesomely murdered in Kenya has raised questions on a worrying trend in the country.
These thousands of women in Kenya have a message for their leaders. Stop the killing.
Protesters rallied against femicide in the streets of Nairobi Saturday, emphasizing equal rights for women, particularly those more vulnerable due to disability.
Femicide, defined as the intentional killing of women because of their gender, is not confined to one region or culture. It transcends borders, impacting individuals and communities worldwide. But behind each statistic lies a human story, a story we must not forget. Our journey begins with the story of Helen, a vibrant young woman who is a victim of gender-based violence.
A few years back, I dated this young man. And everything was great, but this particular day, the guy called me and asked me if he would come over, and I was like, no, today you can't come over, I'm having my girlfriend over. I don't know, for some weird reason, the guy thought I was with a guy. Then at around 2 a.m., I'm hearing some commotion outside, and then the watchman is at my door and saying there's someone who wants to see you. The guy decides to go straight into my bed, and he shocks my girlfriend, and I'm like, wow, this is extreme. He does not respect boundaries. Then after my friend leaves, I'm like, oh, you cross some boundaries, and I don't think we should be in this relationship anymore. The guy became wild. One, he would abuse me. Then he would ask for forgiveness. Then he would abuse me again. Then he would ask for forgiveness. So I moved out, and he would not locate me. So on this particular day, my sister is calling me and telling me so-and-so is very, very ill. It's about 11 going to 12. So I decided, okay, let me just go and see what's happening, because everyone is on my neck. We sit down, and he's like, no, you can't leave me. I don't know, this relationship cannot end like this. And I'm like, but you're sick, can we go to hospital? But all of a sudden, he just touched my throat, and he pinned me to the wall, and I will not breathe, I will not move, I will not talk. And I'm like, what's happening?
But Helen's story is not the only one. Across the globe, countless women face similar fates. Victims of a system that fails to protect and uphold their rights.
I've seen this trend going up, and every day women being killed, It could be a personality disorder. And I'm talking this because, like I said, I'm a mental health specialist. Some people join cult, and I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying some of the reasons.
Like we witnessed Shakahola at the coast, where again the violence is because these people are promised that they're going to heaven, and they come and they're restrained from living, and most of them are women and children, and these are the ones who because they're being stabbed, again they die. So that there's now that violence which has a religious connotation.
Another contributing factor that we are seeing again is hopeless and depression. Given a case of young girls again, when because maybe they are hopeless, they are depressed, and they feel like they don't have job or something that is making them feel vulnerable, and so they are ruled by these maybe older man or men with money.
During our course of investigation, we have found that the element of a man being bossy creates a situation of this crime to be on the higher note. One, the man wants to overpower a lady. So as a result of that, the rate eventually increases. This man wants to prove that he is stronger than this lady. So he wants to use all efforts under his command.
Again, the other thing is the use of substance. Again, we go with statistics. Majority who are using substance and they become addicted are, again, the men. And so anytime there's a small fight, and because of their masculinity, that can also contribute to femicide.
Femicide not only robs us of our precious lives, it erodes the fabric of our society, perpetuating fear, mistrust, and division. But the true cost of femicide cannot be measured in numbers alone. It is measured in the dreams extinguished, the potential unrealized, and the futures stolen. Yet, amidst the darkness, there are stories of resilience and hope, stories of survivors who have overcome unimaginable odds to reclaim their lives and their voices. Their courage inspires us to stand up, speak out, and demand change. They are the living proof that healing is possible, even in the face of unspeakable tragedy. But justice for femicide victims remains elusive, as our legal and justice systems often fail to adequately respond to these crimes.
If the government has not trained those people who are placed on the gender desks to handle these cases, now that failure translates into poor investigation. You would find a police officer being corrupted with a small money and eventually mishandling the case or failing to act as required.
Within the legal framework, there was provision to make sure that there isn't violence meted against the female gender. More recently, when there have been very many episodes of femicide, when people have asked, what is this? This looks like a new phenomenon. Why so much brutality, so much violence against women? And I think this is when we are realizing that there is a heightened form of gender violence, and as a consequence, this is something kind of new that the existing laws have to address and to see whether there is a gap.
There are those clauses in the Constitution that touch on gender equality and women empowerment. There are those clauses in the Constitution that touch on gender-based violence. We have policies, like for us we have the National Policy on Prevention and Response to Gender-Based Violence. We have the policy on elimination of all forms of gender-based violence.
We must demand accountability and transparency from our justice systems, ensuring that perpetrators are held accountable and that victims receive the support and justice.
We also need to see many perpetrators, being apprehended. Probably it's part of the thing that will send a message that this is wrong.
During investigations, we receive complaints and victims who have been raped as a result of the increased rate of femicide in Kenya. We investigate, handle the scene properly, and prepare the victim, and also manage to arrest a number of suspects, take them to court for judicial services.
But true change requires more than just legal reform. It requires a fundamental shift in our attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Through education, advocacy, and community mobilization, we can prevent femicide before it happens, support survivors in their healing journey, and create a safer, more accountable world for all.
We have toll-free lines. This matter is reported. We have a referral pathway. We have the shelters network, so that a case that happens and it could be a domestic kind of violence. This woman, this girl will not continue staying in that home. Where is this girl going to go? So we get these spaces, these shelters, rescue centers, where they can be placed as the matter is being handled by the various arms of government.
As we come to the end of our journey, we are faced with a choice. Will we continue to tolerate the shadows of femicide, or will we shine a light into the darkness and demand change?
I would love everyone to listen to these young women And I would love the community to take a collective action in ensuring that our streets are safe. I would love a community that is just ready to listen. And I would love also a community that is ready to tell the men, this is not the way to go.
Who likes to flame through this raging inferno and watches from high windows? Who is to blame? Who is behind this? Who is in the shadows? Who likes to flame through this raging